This is Mr. Brown, and we're back for our second podcast on our design lab. This podcast, we're going to look at doing our network diagram and the software program we can use to do our network diagram. So first thing, I'm going to go right to my content page, and I'm going to go to the network design portion of the content page. We'll scroll down here, Appendix D, Network Design. Once I'm in my network design area, last time we talked about the PDF that overviews the whole plan. This time we're going to look at our diagram editor. Again, if you have Microsoft Visio, this has all kinds of capability to do diagrams. Feel free to use that. Most people don't have Microsoft Visio, so what you can use is a free program called Dia, as in diameter or diagram. And actually, if you do a search for Dia for Windows kind of thing, you will come up with this link here, this page here. Well, on D2L, this link takes you right to that page. This is a program, I've been using it for many years. I started off using it on Linux, then use it on Windows, then use it on Mac. They have it ported that it is a program that is freely downloadable. It's open source, freely downloadable. You can download it for Windows, you can download it for Mac, you can download it for Linux, install it, and it'll allow you to create diagrams, all kinds of different types of diagrams. The main one being that we're going to use a network diagram. So if you don't have Visio, download this, install it on your machine. Once you do that, okay, let me get this out of the way, you will have a drawing diagram that looks similar to this. And just like most any other drawing program, here's your page, if you will, your paper to draw on. Over on the left are your typical drawing tools, lines and capture areas and all that kind of good stuff, text tool. The neat part here is over on the left I have some shapes, but if I hit this little drop down, this gives me options for different icon sheets I can use. I have a couple common ones here. Well, these are ones I've been using. If I hit the other sheets, it gives me a whole list of different icons for different types of diagrams I want to do. For electronic symbols and all kinds of other good stuff. There's tons of them in here. Well, the ones we're going to focus in on are the Cisco ones, because these have all the common network diagrams that we would need, or excuse me, all the common icons we need for network diagrams. So as you see, these are the ones over here on the commonly used page, so we'll start with those. I'll start with the Cisco switch page. Now, what we want to do, let me pop up our overview here. If you remember, one of the first parts of our plan is our network diagram, network design of what we're going to do. Well, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. If you remember, towards the end of this document, I have the picture of what the office looks like, and then I have right below it, excuse me one second, I need to pause. Thank you. I had a sneeze sneak up on me, so I didn't want to sneeze in your ear. Right below the picture of the office complex and test out, I have on here a screenshot of the network diagram for their building. We're going to kind of replicate this, making our own diagram and picking out our own equipment to network this facility. So we're going to roughly try to emulate this with a ISP connection to a router, to a switch out to the various devices in our floor. So coming back over here, I want to start off with that kind of thing. Well, I'm going to, over here on the left, I'm going to pick, I think it's under Cisco Network, I will find a cloud icon. Yep, here's a cloud icon. I'm going to grab that, click that. When I drop it out here, I can, click and drag and adjust the size of it. I'm going to grab my text tool. I'm going to plop a text label right in the middle, and I'll put something like ISP up here. And I can grab that and move that around. First little tip I'm going to give you, if I want the label and the icon to go together, I just select both, and up on the top I do object group. That will group them together. Now the label and the icon go together. So there's my ISP connection. That's going to come into my firewall / router. So I'm actually going to put that as two separate pieces right now. I'm going to, under the Cisco network, I'm just going to grab this firewall icon. There he is. Again, I can grab a corner and readjust him. I'm going to connect the firewall to the ISP, and I see an arrow pop up. Well, if you don't want that, I can double click on that line and it brings up the line properties. I can change the width, I can change the color, I can change the style. I can make it dotted if I wanted to, and I can also get rid of my arrows. Here's my option for my arrows. I'm going to get rid of that. I'll click apply, and now my arrow has gone away. I'll now connect that to a router, so I'm going to go under Cisco Switch. And again, like any other drawing program, if I hold my pointer over an icon, it pops up a little bubble that says what it is. Here is my router icon. So I'm going to grab that, plop it on the screen, and I will connect the firewall to the router. Now, in real life, these might be two pieces of equipment together, but in more times than not, it is actually two separate pieces of equipment. So I'm drawing it separately because I'm going to have you, as the semester goes on, pick out a router separately from a firewall, just so you have an experience looking for that equipment. There we go. So there's my firewall to my router. And then for my router, I'm going to have a switch that all my devices connect into. So I'm going to scroll down here a little bit, and I'm going to find a switch. Here is a workgroup switch, and I will plop him down here. So I have my basic structure so far. Get rid of that arrow there. There is my basic structure, and if I go back to my sample in my network design lab, if you will, ISP, we have firewall to router to switch. I'm now going to have my workstations start plugging into this. So I'm going to start showing some workstations plugging in. So I'm going to grab a couple computers and plug those in. So let me go to Cisco Computer, and let's grab one or two of these and put them out here for now. Alright, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I'm going to have my computer plug in to my switch. Yay! Alright, now if you read elsewhere in our design lab, they also want IP phones in here. Well, super quick crash course. Let me go find the IP phone icon first. I believe that's under Cisco Telephony. It's not telephony, it's telephony. I'm going to grab the icon here that says IP on it. Well, in real life, what's going to happen is the phone is going to plug into the switch. Let me get my icon on there. There we go. And then okay, here we go. In real life, what will happen is the phone will plug into the switch, and the PC will plug into the phone. That's what's going to happen in real life. If you buy a good IP phone, the IP phone itself has in it a extra port for the PC to plug into. Without getting into too nitty-gritty details, the phone is actually able to separate the PC traffic and the phone traffic, that those two are not able to see each other for security reasons. You can program the switch that the traffic leaving here is tagged, if you will, that frames go to the IP phone and frames go to the PC, and they don't mingle with each other for security reasons. That can be done. This is how most companies set up their IP phone network. It uses less cabling and it uses less ports on the switch to do this. So there's my basic structure of my facility. Now all I would need to do is start representing the different office areas. If you remember in the sample I showed you, the student just put down a label here that said this was, office 1, 2 connections, that sort of thing. So what I can do now is grab my text tool. I'll put a text down here, and I might say something like office 1, 2 PCs. Actually, I might do it this way. I might go office 1, 2 PCs, and then I might add on to that with something else. Well, let's say I have my label here and I want to edit it. If I grab the little I-beam up here, oops. If I grab the little I-beam tool up here, that allows me to come back here and label or edit my label. So I'm going to say 2 PCs and 2 IP phones or something like that. Now, I would want to check my plan to make sure that that is what it needs. So I'm going to go back here into my Network Design Lab, and under Office 1, it says 2 wired connections in total, 1 connection for desktop PC and IP phone, and 1 for future. So that would be correct. If I were showing on my map Office 1, 2 PCs, 2 IP phones, that would be correct. And then what I can do is to represent the other areas of my building. Again, I don't have to show icon for every single device. I can label it like so. What I can also do is if I want to represent another area, I can highlight this, Control C, Control V, Yeah, control. Let me get it again. Here we go. Come on. There we go. Control C, Control V, copy paste. I can bring this over here, connect it in, and I can relabel this with a new area. I can say, well, no, this is actually Office 2 or the IT admin office. And then I can come in here and adjust the numbers to match my plan, whatever it called for here. So I don't need to show an icon for every single device, but I do need to represent all my areas, and then I can put a label below it that says there's 2 or 4 or 6 devices in that area. So that's how I'm going to start constructing my network map, network diagram for my network design. Now eventually, this is kind of my rough-in, eventually as I start picking an equipment, I'm going to want to come back, add a label here that says this is a Cisco 2951 router or something to that effect. As the requirements in the plan say, I need to put model numbers next to all my devices. So as I start picking my devices out, I will need to come back and Control C, Control V, come back in here and edit these. We'll say ASA 5505 firewall. So what I can do to start with is rough it in like we've done, and then as I start picking out my gear later this semester, or towards the end of the semester, I can come back in and just add the labels. But I'll have at least the rough in of my plan that I can add the tidbits as time goes on. So real quickly, there's my network diagram. There's how to use my network diagramming software, Dia in this case. How to do a little bit of, getting your icons on and connecting up, that sort of thing, getting some labels on. And last but not least, I need to save this. So I'm going to do a file, save as, just like any other program. And I'm going to leave it, I'm just going to put it on the desktop for now. I'm going to leave it as a .dia file. That is the Dia program. So I will do up here, I'll do something like sample.dia. Now that'll save it that I can work with it another day. When I'm totally done with this diagram and I'm ready to submit it at the end of the semester, I will do a file export, and I'm going to pick an option of a JPEG or PNG, and you notice mine came up with a PNG, so I'll leave it alone and I'll do sample PNG. What that's going to create is a graphic file that what I'll be able to do is when I'm ready to submit my plan, here is my network diagram. If I can type, I will do insert picture from file, where there's insert object, insert object. Now get out of here. Insert, where is my picture? There you go, photo, picture from file, that'll work. Go to my desktop, grab my sample, insert. There is my network diagram plopped in. Now obviously this is the rough draft, it's not the final diagram, but once I'm all done, I will do a file export on Dia to create this PNG or JPEG, and then I can plop it right into my Word document. And then all I would need to do is, continue down here. The advantages of my plan are blah, blah, blah. This disadvantage of my plan are blah, blah, blah. And the recommendations for future are blah, blah, blah. And there would be roughly the Word document and diagram for my network design. So there real quickly is how to do your logical map or your network diagram using something like Dia.